Hi everyone, I'm CaliKim. Welcome to my garden. Well, this time of year, the days are getting shorter, the nights are getting colder, which usually signifies the end of pepper season. However, it doesn't have to be the end of growing your favorite pepper plants. Today I'm going to show you how to easily overwinter your favorite plants so you can grow them again next year and get a harvest sooner in the spring. Now, peppers are what's known as a tender perennial, which means that they can regrow again in spring if a little bit of care is taken to keep them alive over the winter time, a term known as overwintering. And this can be done no matter where you live, even if you live in the frigid north where you have cold winters, or in the south like I live here in Southern California with frost-free winters. So let me show you how it's done. First of all, when do you start the overwintering process? For you southern gardeners in frost-free winters, you want to wait till your peppers are nearing the end of their production, when they're just not pumping out the peppers anymore. Maybe the plants are looking a little bit wilted from cold nights in the 40s, days in the 50s. This is when you southern gardeners start. For your northern gardeners, you definitely want to start this process a few weeks before your first frost day of the season, because your peppers will be killed off by frost, and we want to get them overwintered before this happens. Now, one of my very favorite varieties is this California Wonder Pepper, and I love to grow the same plant next year because it gives me a jump on the spring season. I'll be starting with a mature plant rather than a seed or a seedling, which will give me harvest about a month or so earlier. So what I'm going to show you how to do is how to prune down this California Wonder plant here. It's not quite done producing, but I am going to have to sacrifice this plant for the sake of the video to show you guys how to do it. So first off, what I'm going to do is harvest all my peppers off this plant. I've got a few green ones at the top. Well, maybe we'll grill these up for dinner. I'm going to trim off the lower leaves and lower branches. Next step after harvesting and pruning the leaves is to prune the stem. Now what I'm going to do is leave about 6 to 8 inches of the stem intact, but I'm looking for the first V in the stem, which is right here, and I'm going to prune 2 leaf nodes above that V. This will leave about 6 to 8 inches, which will give the pepper enough to overwinter or keep it alive over the winter. So it does seem drastic, but I'm just going to snip. I know, it's hard to do. And snip over here on the other V, making sure all the leaves are snipped off. And again, I know this seems drastic, but look at all this growth I took off. That would be dying soon anyway. So by taking off the growth, taking off the peppers, I'm able to keep the stem and the roots, which is the important part of the plant, alive over the winter time. So it's not putting all of its energy into leaves and stems that would die anyway. Now for you southern gardeners, you've got it easy. At this point, all you need to do is heavily mulch the pepper at the base of the plant. I like to use shredded leaves. It's a great free resource to use this time of the year. And what this does is it helps insulate those pepper roots when the nights get colder. Now we don't often get frost here, but if it does, the mulch will keep the roots nice and cozy and keep it alive over the winter time. Remembering, we're not looking to produce peppers over the winter. We just want to keep the plant alive. So when the weather warms up in the spring, it will burst out with new leaves and new growth and start producing sooner. If you're enjoying our videos, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thanks. As far as watering your pepper plants for you southern gardeners, usually the winter rain does the work for you. But if you are in a drought and you're not getting any rain, you want to just keep the pepper plants moist. You really don't want them to completely dry out because then the roots will be damaged. But you also don't want them to be waterlogged either. In warmer winter climates, you may see some leaf growth from your pepper plants. But remember, we're just keeping them alive. We're not growing them for production at this point. Now for your northern gardeners, at this point, what you want to do once you've pruned it is to dig your plant up. And by pruning it, not only are you taking off all that growth that's going to die anyway, but it also allows you to manage the plant easier in a small space over the winter time. So we're going to dig this plant up. I'm actually going to remove the cage here, make it easier to dig. Just going to carefully loosen up the plant. Pepper plants have pretty shallow roots, so generally they're really easy to dig up. And that's one reason why it makes them super easy to overwinter. This plant's coming up real easily and my soil is nice and loose. And we're going to prepare them for overwintering inside or in a sheltered location. For your northern gardeners who have cold winters with freezing temperatures, we're going to be overwintering this plant inside. because it's going to be way too cold to overwinter them outside. So the first step for northern gardeners is kill the bugs. And I cannot emphasize this enough, because if you bring bugs that are on your plant inside the house, they will quickly take over. There's no natural predators inside. So what I'm going to do, I've got a bucket of water here, about a gallon of water. I'm going to kill the bugs with Monterey's takedown spray. Now the reason why I like this is because it kills on contact. So first we're actually just preparing a solution, not a spray, a couple tablespoons in a gallon of water, and this is an organic product made with pyrethrin oil derived from the chrysanthemum plant and canola oil, and it suffocates the plant's nervous system and kills them on contact. So I'm putting some of that oil in my bucket here, and what I'm going to do is shake off as much soil as I can off the plant, leaving the roots intact. You don't have to get every single little bit of soil, but we'll shake off what we can, and then we're going to dunk it in my bucket with takedown in it, which will kill the bugs that are in the soil. And the great thing about takedown is it not only kills the adult bugs, but it also kills the eggs and the larvae. And this works really well for those sucking insects like the fungus gnats and the aphids that might be in the soil. So I'm just swishing around here, and I'm actually going to dunk the stem in there too. And since it kills on contact, we are good to go to put it into our container. You can also make takedown up as a spray in a spray bottle here of water. Spray it down so you get every single little nook and cranny of the plant, so you're not taking any unwanted visitors into the house. Next, what I'm going to do is fill a 1 gallon pot. And again, since pepper roots are shallow, a 1 gallon pot is usually sufficient. It's my smart pot here. It's got nice aeration in it, and I'm putting my indoor seed starting mix or indoor potting mix in it, which is super important because again, if you use your potting mix that you've had outside, you might have some little guests tagging along on your pepper plant, and you definitely don't want that. So I've got my seed starting mix filled about a third of the way in my pot, and I'm going to fill it the rest of the way up to the top with soil. And the soil is pre-moistened, so that way the pepper plant has a little bit of moistness when it first gets planted here. We don't need to add any extra fertilizer in, because again, we don't want to see a lot of growth out of our plant. We just want to keep it alive over the winter time. My seed starting mix is already damp, so I don't need to add any extra water at this point. You can grab these 1 gallon smart pots over at CaliKimGardenandHome.com. Get 25% off with the code CaliKim25. Now at this point, you northern gardeners, what you're going to do is place this in a sunny windowsill or near a grow light. You don't have to have a ton of light to it. A couple of hours a day is sufficient. We're just keeping the plant alive, keeping it in dormancy, and we really don't want to see a lot of growth over the winter time. I know I keep saying that, but it is important to know that you don't have to have them full on under grow lights for 12 hours a day or full on in a sunny window for 12 hours a day. Just enough ambient light to keep it alive. Once spring arrives and the warm weather starts to bust out, what you're going to do at that point for you northern gardeners is repot in fresh soil. You want to use a larger container, probably like this 5 gallon container here if you're growing in containers. That way you have enough room for your pepper roots to grow and spread out. You can even plant 2 plants in a 5 gallon container, because peppers like to grow close together because they kind of shade each other when the weather gets hot. Now for you southern gardeners, what you can do is just fertilize your plant, and it'll help it to put on new growth and new leaves. Now let me show you a pepper plant that I've been overwintering. This is my 3rd year overwintering this jalapeno plant, and I'm telling you guys, I have probably pulled maybe 50 or 6 jalapeno plants off this plant just this summer, and it's the 3rd summer I've had it growing. So I followed the same procedure that I showed you just a few minutes ago with this exact same plant, and it's grown again year after year. Now do keep in mind, while most pepper plants will continue to grow a 2nd and 3rd year, sometimes production will be less, and sometimes you might have a few plants that don't make it. But it's definitely your best shot for growing your favorite pepper plants next year and getting harvest sooner. I've written this all down for you, along with 85 other time-saving tactics to grow more food in less time in my new book, The 10-Minute Gardener. Now it's coming out this winter. And if you haven't yet, I want to ask you to head over to CaliKim Garden and Home and pre-order it. And we're going to send you a free digital download and also a $10 coupon to our website as our thank you for pre-ordering my new book. I'm curious if you've ever overwintered your peppers, or if you're excited to give it a try this winter. Let me know in the comments. I'll be looking for them. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time in the garden.